Season 4 hero reworks and hero update details have been revealed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. So shout out to Bro You Whack, the absolute legend, because he actually hosted an interview over on his Twitch channel. There is a link in the video description below, so go and check out the full VOD, in which he spoke to Alec Dawson, of course, the lead balance designer or lead hero designer for Overwatch 2. And he gives us information on Mercy, on Sombra, which is a rework, on Cassidy Magnetic Grenade, and on Mei. And we're going to break that down in this video. So what I've done is broken down what he says in the actual stream, and I've sort of put this together into a quote, so it's a bit faster for us to understand rather than watching an entire VOD back. So this is what they say about Mercy, or what he says about Mercy. Mercy is a mixed bag. Yes, they're looking at Mercy and making changes in Season 4. How they're looking at Mercy is the healing time. The 50% bonus does something very good for Mercy, and it makes her a triage healer, and it feels nice, but it's really strong on the opposing side. So much healing output, very difficult to combat. Mercy movement synergies aren't there anymore. If she goes in for a res, she has to linger for a second. Mercy is dead in the water. They're trying to alleviate some of that. Did they make oversights with Valkyrie regen boost? And they're looking at Mercy holistically. They're taking some of the design goals from the balance team changes in Season 3 and are trying to retain them, but introduce some previous changes for Season 4. Now, also, he did confirm that the no regen in Valkyrie is, what he says, an oversight, but they may introduce that back in Season 4. Okay, Mercy. Right. So the biggest issue with Mercy initially was Mercy's fluidity of control of movement. Now, I understand that the old Season 3 Mercy, where she's zipping about all over the place with the short cooldown Guardian Angel, yeah, this is a bit ridiculous and it's hard to kill her, but it made her feel really good to play. Now, what they did for Season 4 is they basically screwed that over so she feels really janky to play, even to the point of it's kind of annoying to stay with a Pharah or an Echo in the sky, because you just don't have that faster cooldown on Guardian Angel. And to me, that was the worst thing about the change to Mercy. It made her feel really clunky, and I know a lot of people that really enjoy playing Mercy basically think the same way. It was not a good change. It was not great. But what was a good change on paper was this introduction of increased healing output on targets under 50% of their HP. Now, again, on paper, this sounds really good because it does turn it into what Blizzard keep coining as a triage healer, which is basically, you know, you go to the worst injured person possible and then you fix them first. Well, Mercy couldn't really do that before. Yeah, of course, obviously you could, but she didn't have that burst healing. She didn't have that Anna nade and then burst healing potential, or even the Moira throws an orb and then she starts primary firing on top of you and then you get healed even more, right? Mercy didn't have that. Mercy was just always the same consistent output. But what they're starting to find out now is it is very oppressive to deal with this, and it kind of is. I'm going to agree with what he says there, because I think, like, you sometimes, especially with tanks, in fact, it's not really just tanks, it's anybody Mercy's healing. Like, okay, just forget I said tanks, because Pharah is the best example of this. Mercy actually buffed Pharah a ton, because the way to kill Pharah is to shoot with hit scan most of the time, yeah? But if you're against a pharmacy combo and you maybe hit her once, decent shot, maybe it takes her under 50% HP because you headshot her with an Ash or something. Mercy can heal her extremely fast. And it never used to be like that, right? So it gave her a lot more power and it made Pharah a lot stronger. Of course, this applies to anyone who's under 50% HP, right? Mercy heals them faster. But here's the conundrum, right? And I'm going to leave the Mercy section on this, because you guys know I'm not a Mercy player. And I know the Mercy community is very... how can I say this? Passionate about Mercy. I like the fact that she had burst healing, but clearly this isn't the right way to do it. But they can't remove burst healing from her because then she won't feel as good. But they need to fix her movement, which looks like they might be doing that. But what do you do to the healing then? Because she can't obviously have awesome movement and the same healing she's got now, right? So does she need a new ability? Does she need a rework? This is a question I want you guys to answer in the comments below. But yeah, they're looking at Mercy, and changes are coming. Next up, we've got Mei. Now, what he actually says about Mei is concerning potentially a primary fire. He doesn't confirm it's primary fire, but he does confirm it's something to do with her slow. And he says this: slow build-up coming back into Mei's kit. Not freezing, but maybe adds a debuff and players are slowed for a certain amount of time. Now, what is the worst thing in Overwatch? There are two things which are the worst things in Overwatch. The first one is immortality effects that prevents targets from dying. They never feel great, and they never will feel great. They feel great for the person using them, but not for the person on the receiving end. That is the damage or the tank or whoever it is trying to kill a target, which then suddenly is made invulnerable. Doesn't feel great. The other thing is having movement control removed from your heroes. Now, this was something I thought they'd come to terms with in Overwatch 2, because they did say at the dawn of the game, yes, we are going to reduce crowd control, because it was everywhere in Overwatch 1. There was too much crowd control. And that's what they did. And that's why Mei had the slow or the freeze effect removed from her primary fire. She still retains it on her ultimate, I'll have you know, but not on her primary fire. It now just slows you down. So, do we really want to see Mei with the ability to apply a long-lasting slow debuff on a target if she hits them once with primary fire? How would this change the way Mei plays in terms of damage? Well, maybe what they're trying to do, and I would say this is probably the more elegant way of doing this if they do go forward with it, is the debuff maybe just gives extra damage to Mei's secondary fire. All right, so she hits you and you don't get the slow effect on it because, okay, let's say you get a little bit of the slow effect, but it's not for like 3 or 4 seconds. It's for 1 second or a second and a half. But during that time, you get bonus damage with your icicle, with your alternate fire, right? Maybe that's something they could do. The worst case scenario for this would be she's primary firing you and it does hardly any damage, but it really slows you down and it lasts for a long time, especially when she's not attacking you with it. I think that would feel terrible. The other way they could do this is basically reduce the damage on the primary fire, or even just keep it how it is. But if it adds this slow effect to a target, maybe that's trying to, I don't know, push Mei more into, instead of going for the primary fire spam, which you would need to reduce the damage for this, to be fair, but instead of going for primary fire damage spam at close range, you maybe just use it to just slow down a tank from getting away, or DPS or whatever from getting away, and then you just default back to your alternate fire. I don't know. But the fact is, Mercy's primary fire is probably going to get changed. And yeah, from what Alec Dawson says, they're looking at doing something with a slow, basically turning it into a debuff that probably lasts for a set amount of time on a target when they're hit by Mei's primary fire. And I'm not sure how I feel about that at all. Okay, he goes on to talk about Cassidy, and Cassidy's absolutely garbage, but really stupidly fun to use, but it is absolutely garbage. Be under no illusion, I do not like this ability at all. His magnetic grenade, and this is what Alec Dawson says about it, in a roundabout way. He says, I think, on its own, magnetic grenade does some good things. Right now, they're looking at things like, why does it follow you for crazy amounts of time, and potentially reducing the frustration level with the ability. So, yeah, there's not much info there. I mean, from what he says, it's like, okay, they're going to maybe reduce its range, maybe reduce its lock-on range potentially first, because it is quite forgiving. You can yeet this thing and it will just chase targets and hit them. Like, I put a clip on I put a clip on Twitter. I think it got deleted by Elon Musk because apparently, I don't know why, but they said it was violent. It wasn't, well, I guess it was violent if you were a Mercy main. But basically, if you throw a magnetic grenade at Mercy just as she's about to do the super jump with Guardian Angel, it will just follow her into the air. And it's like you've thrown this grenade 50 meters. It's like, what the hell? So maybe there's something they're going to do with that, you know, change the lock-on range. But I think the wider question here is, why the hell does a cowboy have a grenade? What in the actual hell is that got to do with any cowboy? What cowboy movie have you ever seen where cowboys are lobbing frag grenades at people? Especially magnetic ones. Never. Never. What do cowboys have? Well, guess what? I'm not even American. I'm losing my mind here. I'm not even American, right? I'm British. I'm British, mate. All right, mate. I'm British. Cowboys have... What do they have? A revolver. Oh, yeah. What's Cassidy got? He's got a revolver. That's great. They have cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Yeah, he's got that. He's got that. They also have a whip, don't they? But what's Cassidy got in Overwatch? He rolls and he throws a magnetic grenade. Like, what the hell? Like, come on, Blizz. If you want to make a cowboy, just give him a whip and just do something with it. Okay, go on. Do it, Blizzard. Okay, let's talk about Sombra, because Sombra is rework material here. So while we did just talk about Cassidy's grenade rework and what that could look like and all of that stuff, this is more detail here in terms of Sombra rework. So Sombra, a couple of facts here. Sombra is basically the worst DPS in the game in terms of playtime and all of that stuff. People don't really play Sombra, but she was really strong a few patches ago, and now she's super nerfed and she just isn't great. But this is what Alex says about that. It says they're not just going to nerf her, and they don't want to make her less fun to play. If they're going to do anything, the goals are to alleviate some of the frustration of playing against her in terms of perma stealth Also, in terms of her being very easy to get away, so that's the translocator. One of these may need to go. Also, not nerfing her kit, so she's still fun to play. Something new for her when she comes out, a new toy or new ability. So, what we've got there, and obviously I've ad-libbed that a bit there, and you know there is a link to the video in the video description below where you can watch these back. But like I said, I've covered the meat of what he says. They're looking at Sombra's stealth, and they're probably going to remove permanent stealth. Now, I think that actually would be quite good, because I think permanent stealth as a design decision forces Sombra to play in a certain way. Because perma stealth is quite strong. It means you can always get into the best position to engage. So that means you can't do massive high burst damage. It means you can't, well, you just can't do damage. And Sombra's a damage hero, right? So she can't be coming out of stealth and then doing tracer levels of damage point blank into Zen, because you kill him every time, right? She can't do that. But she used to kind of be able to do that a few patches ago, but that got nerfed. So if they get rid of perma stealth, it opens up other ways of playing the hero. He also doesn't seem to like the fact that she can get away very easily with Translocator. Again, that means when she drops stealth, you know she's got Translocator ready to go, and she's got to press a singular button and she'll get out of there. And the only thing that will kill her is if she gets hit by, I don't know, like a Widow headshot or massive high burst damage that she's not expecting. Most of the time, Sombras, especially good ones, will get away with like, you know, 10% HP left. And they'll be right next to a health pack because that's where the Translocator will be that they've hacked. And then they go again, right? And that's the gameplay loop of Sombra. So they're looking at reducing that. Or maybe adding some sort of counterplay other than just shooting the translator. Don't shoot the translator. The translocator. The other thing which is interesting is this idea of a new ability or a new toy that maybe alters the way her kit plays. I think the sky's the limit with that, because Sombra's a hacker. She could do all kinds of things, right? It doesn't have to just be taking abilities off other players and things like that. There's loads of stuff you could do with it, you know, or locking players out of abilities like she does with a hack at the moment. I think this could be really interesting here, but I think, again, and I'm pretty sure they've learned this lesson with Sombra, especially in Overwatch 2, she can become very powerful with only a couple of changes, especially changes that increase her damage. They make her ludicrously powerful. So I think she probably is there, along with other heroes like Roadhog, who I really don't think work in 5v5, especially now that he's been nerfed. But when he wasn't nerfed with his one-shot combo was terribly OP. But I would say him and Sombra are like prime candidates for being totally reworked to work in this new game. Maybe an outside shout of Symmetra as well, but definitely Sombra. So they are looking at that. So in conclusion, yeah, we've got a lead hero designer that's given us a bit more information as to what's going to come out in Season 4 in terms of hero balance changes. The Mercy stuff, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Needs to definitely be looked at. Sombra, I need to see more details on this, but I think he did give us a fair amount of detail there, especially when they're not sort of ready to talk about what they've got in the pipeline for Sombra at the moment. Cassidy's magnetic grenade is a given. It needs to change, and we need to see what they do with that. And Mei, I think that's a bit of an odd one. I don't think people were necessarily like, well, you know, we need to make changes to Mei. Or Mei desperately needs a change. It seems like a change for the sake of it. It seems like the same sort of stuff, you know, like just going, oh, you know what, I reckon people should just have, what is it, 25% health in Immortality Field now instead of 10, because, yeah. All right, everybody, thank you for listening and watching the video. I've been Stylosa, and, yeah, I'll catch you out there playing a bit of Overwatch. See you soon.